The poison in every friendship. They don't teach you this truth in school. They tell you to make friends, to build bonds, to trust people. But the older you grow, the more you realize, every friendship carries a seed of betrayal. Not because people are evil by nature, but because loyalty fades when self-interest rises. The same person who once called you brother will one day compare himself to you. The same one who clapped for you in public will question you in private. And the same one who swore to have your back will be the first to twist the knife when envy starts whispering. You will learn, often too late, that friendship is not built on love. It's built on alignment. And once that alignment breaks, the mask falls. Friendship is the most socially accepted form of illusion. It feels pure while it lasts, but underneath it runs a current of insecurity, comparison, and power struggle. Every laugh hides a measurement. Every compliment hides a calculation. People don't bond over love, they bond over need. They need comfort. They need validation. They need your energy, your status, your confidence, your light, something you have that fills their emptiness. But the day you no longer feed their need, the warmth turns cold. This is the harsh law of human connection. People stay loyal only as long as they benefit from you. And when you begin to rise, when your light grows too bright, your very existence will expose their shadows. They'll start to resent the same traits they once admired. They'll distance themselves not because you've changed, but because your success reminds them they haven't. They'll smile through gritted teeth. They'll say, "I'm happy for you." But their tone will shake under the weight of jealousy. They'll start small, passive comments, subtle avoidance, little jokes that sting like venom. Then one day, the mask slips completely. And the person you thought was your closest ally becomes your quiet enemy. You see, betrayal never arrives as a stranger. It comes dressed as a friend. It learns your habits, your weaknesses, your secrets. So it knows where to strike. This is why wise men keep their circles small and their hearts guarded. They understand that betrayal is not rare, it's inevitable. The more people you let close, the more doors you leave open for deception. Most people mistake connection for loyalty. They assume that shared laughter means shared values. That shared pain means shared integrity. But friendship often exists only in the shallow parts of human emotion. A place that disappears the moment life tests it. The Stoics understood this. They warned, never expect loyalty from those who haven't mastered themselves. Because those who lack inner stability will always betray when pressure rises. In time, you will see that friendship, in its pure form, is a myth. It's an arrangement, temporary, conditional, fragile. Like glass, it sparkles under light but shatters under weight. This doesn't mean you must hate your friends. It means you must see them clearly. Expect betrayal, not as paranoia, but as wisdom. That way, when the knife comes, it won't cut as deep. You'll already have built your armor, silence, detachment, and self-reliance. Because the man who needs no one cannot be betrayed. He can be disappointed, yes, but never destroyed. That is power. And that is the path of the Stoic point 2. The illusion of friendship, why most friendships are built on need, not loyalty. Friendship, as society paints it, looks beautiful, laughter, shared memories, inside jokes, brotherhood. But beneath that surface lies the uncomfortable truth, most friendships are transactions disguised as emotional bonds. People rarely admit it, but every connection begins with a need. You meet someone who offers something you lack, validation, company, excitement, opportunity, or even distraction from your pain. You call it chemistry, but it's dependency. And dependency, no matter how small, always leads to imbalance. Look closely at the friendships around you. Strip away the humor, the nostalgia, the casual conversations, what remains? A subtle exchange of value. He listens to your problems, you give him your trust. She supports your ambitions, you make her feel included. It's not evil, it's nature. Humans are wired to connect through what benefits them. The illusion begins when you confuse this mutual convenience with unconditional loyalty. You assume the bond is built on love or shared morals, but in reality, it's built on emotional economics. You give as long as you receive. You stay as long as it feels good. And when the benefit fades, the friendship slowly withers. That's why most friendships don't end with explosions, they fade in silence. There's no argument, no betrayal scene, no clear ending. Just a slow erosion of contact, a lack of interest, and eventually, indifference. Because the need that once bound you no longer exists. The illusion of friendship thrives because it flatters the ego. It tells you, I am liked, I am valued, I belong. But belonging is rarely unconditional. People want to belong to comfort, not to truth. They'll stand with you when you're down because it makes them feel strong. But when you rise, that same support turns to discomfort, your success disrupts their balance. They liked you when you were relatable. They laughed with you when you were struggling. But now that you've grown, they don't recognize themselves beside you anymore. They feel smaller in your light. So they quietly retreat, or worse, they pretend to cheer while secretly hoping you fall. That's why betrayal hurts so deeply. It's not just about what they did. It's about realizing they were never who you thought they were. You mistook convenience for commitment. You thought friendship meant loyalty, but it only meant proximity. This is the tragedy of human connection. We crave understanding, yet few can handle seeing us evolve. Because your growth demands one of two reactions, admiration or resentment. True friends admire. But most people resent, because your progress reminds them of their stagnation. That's why the ancients warned against placing your peace in the hands of others. Epictetus said, "He who depends on others for his happiness is their slave." And friendship, for many, becomes that subtle form of slavery, emotional dependence disguised as companionship. You'll notice it when your mood starts depending on how a friend treats you. You'll notice it when you feel guilty for outgrowing them. You'll notice it when you dim your light just to stay accepted. That's when you've stepped out of strength and into illusion. The truth is, you don't need many friends. You only need clarity. Know who's loyal, who's useful, and who's dangerous. Because not everyone in your circle is meant to stay, some are merely lessons. And if you cling to everyone out of nostalgia, you'll drown in misplaced loyalty. People change. Intentions shift. Energy turns. What was once brotherhood can easily become rivalry. The friend who once lifted you can now pull you down, not because you hurt them, but because they can't stand the reflection of who you've become. So detach. Observe without attachment. Speak less. Reveal little. And above all, stop expecting loyalty from those who haven't mastered themselves. Loyalty is not born from friendship, it's born from character. And character is rare. The illusion of friendship ends the moment you stop romanticizing people's intentions. That's when you begin to see clearly. That's when you stop mistaking presence for loyalty, and words for truth. And that's when your power returns, because when you no longer depend on others to validate you, you become unbreakable. Friendship can be sweet. But it should never be sacred. It's a garden, not a temple. Enjoy it, tend to it, but never kneel to it. Because when the season changes, most flowers die. Only the roots of self-respect remain. 3. The nature of betrayal. Why betrayal isn't an accident, it's human instinct. Betrayal doesn't fall from the sky. It grows in silence. It starts small, an unspoken envy, a hidden comparison, a quiet resentment. And over time, it becomes a dagger waiting for the right moment. You see, betrayal is not a mistake. It's not a sudden lapse in loyalty or a random moral failure. It's the natural outcome of human self-interest. Every person you meet is driven by two invisible forces, ego and survival. And when those forces feel threatened by your success, your confidence, or your independence, betrayal becomes their instinctive defense. People betray not because they want to be cruel, but because they can't bear to feel less than you. Your progress makes them insecure. Your self-control reminds them of their chaos. Your confidence highlights their doubt. And in that imbalance, their ego suffers. Ego doesn't accept defeat gracefully, it seeks to destroy what exposes it. So instead of confronting their inadequacy, they'll project it onto you. They'll criticize you, undermine you, or quietly root for your downfall. Because in their mind, your loss restores their balance. That's the psychology of betrayal. It's not about you, it's about them. They betray to heal their wounded pride. Think about Judas, the archetype of betrayal. He walked beside greatness, learned from it, benefited from it. And still sold it for silver. Why? Because standing beside greatness made him feel small. He couldn't handle being the follower when he desired to be the equal. And when admiration turned to envy, betrayal was born. This same dynamic repeats everywhere. In friendships, in families, in relationships, in business. People will love you for who you are until it threatens who they are. That's why betrayal feels so personal. It comes from those who once claimed to care. Strangers can't betray you. Only those you trust hold the key to your vulnerability. That's why betrayal is not just an act, it's a revelation. It shows you who was real and who was merely pretending. And yet, the wise man never takes betrayal personally. He expects it. He sees it as a law of nature, a reflection of human frailty. The Stoics taught that suffering only comes from expectations. If you expect eternal loyalty from fragile beings, you will bleed endlessly. But if you expect weakness, envy, and deception, you remain untouchable. That doesn't mean you should live in bitterness or paranoia. It means you must live with eyes open. Because betrayal is not rare, it's predictable. And predictability is power. Look at history. Empires didn't fall from external attacks, they fell from internal betrayal. Julius Caesar didn't die in battle, he died surrounded by friends. Kings weren't dethroned by their enemies, but by the allies who envied their thrones. This is human nature at work, envy dressed as loyalty. People often ask, why would they betray me? I did nothing wrong. That's exactly why. You did nothing wrong, you succeeded. And success, in a world of fragile egos, is unforgivable. Betrayal, at its core, is a mirror. It doesn't reveal their hatred, it reveals their weakness. They betray because they cannot rise with you, only by stepping on you. It's easier to destroy the source of their insecurity than to confront it. Understand this truth deeply. Loyalty ends where self-interest begins. When someone has to choose between your benefit and their own, most will choose themselves, and call it doing what's best for me. That's not evil. That's instinct. The same instinct that drives people to protect their pride even at the cost of a bond. The same instinct that whispers, better him fall than me fade. This is why emotional detachment is the highest form of wisdom. When you no longer take betrayal personally, you become dangerous. You see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. You learn to read motives behind smiles. To hear insecurity behind compliments. And to feel deceit behind affection. You stop being surprised. You stop bleeding for lessons you've already learned. And you stop expecting loyalty from those who haven't conquered their envy. Because betrayal is not a storm to fear, it's a test of perception. The moment you see through it, it loses power over you. Never beg for loyalty. Never demand trust. Observe, test, and measure instead. Let people reveal themselves through time and circumstance. Because time exposes everything. And betrayal, no matter how well hidden, always finds a stage. When it does, don't react, record. Don't cry, remember. And don't seek revenge, grow quieter, sharper, colder. The one who betrays you loses peace. The one who stays silent gains wisdom. That's how you rise above the cycle. That's how you evolve beyond emotional weakness. You accept that betrayal is not an exception, it's human instinct in disguise. And by mastering that truth, you become immune to it. 4. The jealous friend, the quiet envy that hides behind support. Jealousy doesn't always hiss. Sometimes, it claps. Sometimes, it smiles. Sometimes, it says, "I'm happy for you," while quietly wishing it was them instead of you. The jealous friend is one of the most dangerous kinds of people you'll ever know. Not because they're openly hostile, but because they disguise their resentment as friendship. They'll stand beside you, but not with you. They'll cheer for your success, but not sincerely. Their eyes will sparkle with admiration while their heart burns with comparison. They need to be near you, not out of love, but out of obsession. They want to measure themselves against you. To see if they can compete. To learn your habits. To understand why life favors you more than them. Every conversation becomes silent research. They'll call you brother, sister, day one. But beneath those titles lies quiet calculation. How far ahead is he? Why her, not me? What makes them different? That's why jealousy is not loud, it's polite. It hides behind compliments, jokes, and shallow praise. It studies you like a friend and waits for the right moment to turn. And here's the truth. Most jealous friends don't want you to fail completely. They just don't want you to succeed too much. They want you to rise, but not higher than them. They want you to grow, but not outgrow them. They want to feel close to greatness without being overshadowed by it. When you tell them your wins, they'll nod and say, "That's good, man." But their tone will shift. A little dryness, a little detachment, a forced smile. Their eyes will glaze over like your success bored them. That's your warning. They'll pretend they're too busy to show up for your big moments. But they'll be present when you're down. Because your struggle makes them feel safe again. It restores the balance. That's when their support becomes genuine. Because deep down, they need you below them to feel equal. This is the paradox of the jealous friend. They love you when you're broken, but resent you when you heal. They call it humility. But what they really want is your stagnation. They preach about staying the same. Because your growth threatens the comfort of who they are. You'll notice they never compete openly. They'll never tell you they're jealous, it's too shameful for their ego. So they express it through subtle sabotage. They'll plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Are you sure you can handle that? They'll make jokes that undercut your confidence. You doing that? Wow, okay. They'll question your decisions, your timing, your dreams. Not out of care, but out of envy. Because every time you chase something greater, you remind them of their fear to do the same. And when jealousy matures, it turns into betrayal. At first, it's emotional, pulling away, silent distance, lack of enthusiasm. Then it becomes verbal, small gossip, subtle criticism, hidden mockery. Finally, it becomes strategic. Aligning with your rivals, leaking your plans, or discrediting your name in silence. By the time you realize it, the damage is already done. The same hand that once clapped for you has now built the rumor that breaks you. But don't curse them. Pity them. Because jealousy is a prison, a mental cage for the weak. They're not plotting against you because you hurt them. They're plotting because your light exposes their darkness. You cannot teach humility to a jealous heart. You can only distance yourself from it. The Stoic path teaches detachment, not confrontation. You don't argue with envy, you starve it. You don't explain your success, you protect it. You don't announce your moves, you move in silence. When you stop feeding people information, their true intentions reveal themselves. The jealous friend will grow restless when they no longer have access to your life. They'll start asking questions they never used to ask. Pretending it's concern, when it's really surveillance. That's your cue to tighten your circle. Not with anger, but with awareness. The jealous friend doesn't deserve revenge. They deserve distance, quiet, firm, irreversible distance. Because nothing punishes envy more than your continued growth in peace. Let them talk. Let them misinterpret your silence as arrogance. Let them imagine your downfall while you build higher. Their jealousy will eventually consume them. Because while you're climbing, they're wasting energy watching. And that is the greatest victory. You rise while they rot in comparison. Remember. You don't owe explanations to envy. You owe loyalty only to those who can celebrate your success without envy and love your strength without fear. Because true friendship doesn't feel threatened by your light. It shines with it. 5. The competitive friend, why your success makes them your enemy. Competition between strangers is natural. Competition between friends is toxic. It's invisible, quiet, and dangerous. Because it hides under the banner of motivation. You think you're inspiring them. They think they're keeping up with you. But slowly, admiration turns to comparison. And comparison turns to quiet hostility. At first, it feels harmless. They joke about your achievements, tease you when you win. And push themselves harder after every success you share. You think it's friendly rivalry, iron sharpening iron. But what you don't see is the subtle resentment growing in their heart. Because deep down, every victory you achieve becomes a reminder of where they are not. Every success you reach forces them to confront the truth. They are falling behind. And when ego meets insecurity, friendship becomes war. A cold, silent war fought through attitude, energy, and passive competition. They'll start mirroring you, dressing like you, talking like you, copying your habits. At first, it feels flattering. But then you realize they're not inspired by you, they're trying to become you. They're not competing for success, they're competing for identity. A competitive friend doesn't want to grow with you. They want to catch up and overtake you. They see life as a race, and you, unfortunately, are the benchmark. You became the proof that their excuses are invalid. And that's why your existence offends them. They'll measure every conversation against a scoreboard you never agreed to play on. You share a win, they counter it with one of theirs. You share a dream, they announce a bigger one. You try to connect, they try to compete. They can't celebrate you without comparing. They can't listen without calculating. And they can't love you without secretly wanting to be you. The most dangerous part? They disguise all of this as ambition. They'll say things like, "You motivate me, bro." Or, "You push me to do better." But that's only half true. What they don't tell you is that your progress also bothers them. They feel small standing next to you. So they start looking for ways to reclaim the feeling of superiority. Not through growth, but through subtle sabotage. They'll criticize your choices, but call it honesty. They'll remind you of your flaws, but call it balance. They'll downplay your success, but call it humility. Every jab wrapped in friendly words. Every correction cloaked in concern. But don't be fooled, this is not love. This is rivalry disguised as friendship. And rivalry, when left unchecked, always ends in betrayal. Because one day, they'll realize they can't beat you through effort. So they'll try to beat you through destruction. They'll twist your image behind your back. They'll plant seeds of doubt in mutual circles. They'll align themselves with people who dislike you. Not because they share a cause. But because they share a resentment. The moment they sense they can't rise above you, they'll start trying to pull you down to their level. That's why you must recognize the competitive friend early. The one who suddenly shifts when you win. The one who's loud about their victories but silent about yours. The one who seems close but constantly challenges your position. They don't see you as a friend, they see you as proof. Proof that they should have done more. Proof that they wasted time. Proof that someone with the same opportunities became more than they did. That kind of realization burns the ego like acid. And when pride burns, it doesn't heal, it strikes. So what do? You withdraw your access. You stop sharing every detail of your life. You stop revealing your goals and plans. You stop letting them measure your growth. Because when you feed the competitive friend with information, you give them ammunition. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them compete against a mystery they can't define. That's how you win. By becoming unpredictable. The Stoic path is not about avoiding people, it's about understanding them. The wise man never hates the competitive friend, he simply refuses to engage. Because the moment you start competing with someone who secretly envies you, you step off the throne of self-mastery and enter the arena of insecurity. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to compare paths, speed, or outcomes. Your journey is yours, sacred, silent, and self-defined. Let them race in circles. You walk in purpose. Because the true mark of mastery is not in being ahead. It's in not needing to measure. The competitive friend will one day exhaust himself chasing shadows. He'll burn out trying to win a game you stopped playing long ago. And when he looks back, he'll realize you were never his opponent. He was his own. That's the tragedy of envy disguised as competition. It destroys the one who nurtures it. Remember this. You owe no one your pace. You owe no one your secrets. You owe no one a fair race. Move in silence. Work in shadows. Let your results speak while their jealousy screams. Because nothing crushes a competitive friend more than watching you keep rising, without ever acknowledging that there was a competition in the first place. 6. The opportunist, friendship as a tool for self-gain. Some people don't walk into your life to know you. They walk in to use you. They study you like a project, not a person. They listen carefully, not because they care, but because they're mapping where you can be useful. Every compliment, every gesture, every moment of loyalty is an investment in future returns. This is the opportunist. The friend who wears kindness as camouflage. Who learns your rhythm so they can time their requests perfectly. Who praises you only when they need you most. You'll recognize them by their pattern. They appear in moments of abundance, when your energy, money, or influence is high. They vanish in moments of scarcity, when you have nothing to give but truth. They thrive on exchange, not connection. To them, friendship is a ladder, not a bond. They'll hold it steady while you climb, until they can step on your shoulders to reach higher. Their loyalty is conditional. Their presence is transactional. And their affection lasts exactly as long as the benefits do. At first, you'll be flattered by their attention. They'll make you feel important, you're different, I can talk to you about anything. They'll position you as their confidant, the person who gets them. But beneath that flattery lies intent, they're securing emotional leverage. The moment you're hooked on their validation, they start making small withdrawals. A favor here, a connection there, a request disguised as need. You'll feel obliged to help because you think it's friendship. It's not. It's extraction. The opportunist doesn't care how you feel. They care about what you can do. Your kindness is their resource. Your influence is their shortcut. Your generosity is their safety net. And when the well runs dry, when you stop providing, when you say no, when you enforce a boundary, their mask slips. Suddenly, you're selfish. Suddenly, you've changed. Suddenly, the person who once praised your ambition now calls you arrogant. They weren't angry because you betrayed them. They were angry because you stopped being useful. That's the essence of opportunism. It mistakes generosity for weakness and boundaries